Welcome back, friends, to the Crazy as Usual with Donna podcast. Today with Amanda Farrell. Amanda has spent over 20 years in alternative healthcare. She's a licensed medical massage therapist and esthetician. She's also a cancer survivor and a domestic violence survivor. So, talk about monkeys. We have a few to talk about in this episode, I think.
Yeah.
Um, the challenges associated with all of these life-changing traumatic events have led to the beautiful gift that she gives the world today. She loves to provide support and encouragement and out-of-the-box thinking for people going through tough times through sacred space integrated therapeutics. And I just am so happy to be able to introduce this to my people. What you're doing is changing lives, Amanda. Thank you so much for taking time to talk with me today. Tell
Yeah.
me, um, you know, a little bit more background on you and your people, your business, where you are, and what prompted you into that. It's probably going to lead us back into some of your monkey stories, but let's just start there.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're located off of Woodman and I-25, Sacred Space Integrated Therapeutics, and we do here a full spectrum of healing modalities and alternative healthcare, which is the massage therapy that I do, medical massage, relaxation massage. I've got chiropractic, acupuncture. We do some physical therapy, some mental health counseling as well,
Oh,
some
wow.
recovery, as well as diet and nutrition work. It's kind of it pulls all of those modalities in together in one space. And really, my vision for all of this is to pull those into one space and make it affordable and accessible, especially for people in underneath our membership plans, where they can pick and choose for a very affordable rate. Within
Yeah.
all, you're not trying to find a new person or get a suggestion to say, oh, well, if you want to lose weight, here's a, health coach, or here's something like this, and you have to pick and
Wow.
choose. So we've already got that figured out. In that process of that, we also do care coordination. And so you have one person to talk to with all of that and say, here's all the things that I have going on right now. What's going to be, I'm at a loss, where do I even begin?
Where do you
Right.
start? Because that's a
Yeah.
lot. You have a lot going on under one roof. How many people work for you?
We've got about 12 right now. And then I've got
Nice.
another referral partner group that have their own offices within town that we also refer out to as well.
Nice. I love that integrated approach.
Hmm.
Um, a lot of people, when they're especially going through trauma, they don't really know what the first thing is. And I love the fact that I could send someone to you for massage, and in that process, they might discover some of the other things that they need.
Yeah,
I always think
absolutely.
that whether I'm getting my hair cut or getting a massage, that is a therapy appointment, you know?
It absolutely is. I mean, it's really the door opening process for a lot of people
The
to start
gateway.
saying what they have going on. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I'm glad you see it that way. I'm a big fan of making sure that I refer people to other people I know who can help them, or other people I trust in a certain area. And you've got it all up under one roof. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. But I want to swing the dial back to when you were little. You're the oldest of four,
Yep,
right?
I am.
Middle class life. I understand that. Um, Good, hardworking blue collar values, which is why you're able to run your own business now. Um, Tell me about navigating high expectations as a kid growing up, especially being the big sister.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't have any, just typical middle class. So nothing was traumatic in our childhoods. It was all just normal, go to school kind of things. We were expected to have good grades. My family is all a family full of business owners in the construction industry. And so
Wow.
with that, it didn't matter how old you were. If you didn't have a place to go, you were going to work.
Mhm.
And disciplinary kind of stuff for regular things in the family. Played that out installing carpet or, laying
Oh,
brick,
so
you know?
instead of being grounded, you got to go install carpet as penance for your.
For, yeah, for
Impressions.
the deeds that we did wrong. Yes.
Oh, wow. That's brilliant. Man, I'm trying to think of how it's too late for us. Our kids are grown. That's fantastic.
So it shifted a lot of things and really making you think, as we were growing up of is this really worth it? Because I will probably get in trouble for it. And I'm not
Oh,
sure that I want to spend the day, in hard manual labor here.
exactly. Yeah, you know exactly what that's going to work out to be.
Yeah.
So, tell me how this drive, this good hard work ethic has led to burnout in your life.
Well, the burnout side is really in it was always that expectation piece of I can do more, I can do, that didn't turn out, there was an acceptance of failure
Mhm.
in those things. It didn't turn out the way that exactly that I wanted to, but I can try again. And if I work a little bit harder, if I do things a little bit more, if I think about it a little bit differently, come at it from a different angle, then we can get a different result or a better result. And just that never very instilled in us, that very never give up attitude of things. Um, when I was going through high school, I was a editor in chief of my high school yearbook. I worked towards my Girl Scout Gold Award, and had a part-time job waiting tables all at the same time. And
Oh,
so like that was just a normal expectation that we had, and it's translated into everything. If you weren't doing 15 things, you weren't doing enough.
yeah. Yeah. Was that the same for all four kids in your family?
Yeah, it was. And so I've got both of my brothers are engineers, that work up in Denver, and my sister's in nursing. And so, yeah, so it's
Hard working
translated
fields.
all the way through.
Wow. Wow. That's great. Great. And how is it that um, they've been able to manage this drive to work hard and prevent burnout in their own lives? I mean, you're not here to tell all their stories, but are there success stories there?
Oh, yeah, there absolutely is. I think the biggest piece that of preventing some of that burnout is recognizing that acceptance of failure is going to be a normal part of life.
Mhm.
And when you have that acceptance, you can kind of step back and say, okay, I need some time to think about these things. It's okay. Um, to reevaluate, reassess, and
Yeah.
move on. Um, within all of that, they've had multiple times where they have businesses and things weren't working out, and so they closed them and went back and got a different W-2 job, or went to work for somebody else just to maintain paying the normal bills and all those kinds of things,
Mhm.
um, and reassess there, and that's not working, so I'd rather go do my own thing again.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's really smart. Well, it's good to realize too, we have to try things and we have to be willing to fail.
Mhm,
If we don't try things because we're afraid it's not going to be perfect, and we just talked about this in the last interview, it just going to keep us from living life. So you've done that. You've really taken the chances.
mhm.
I'm guessing that there's some maybe personal reasons why you ended up in the therapeutic space. Um, you did talk about the fact that you've experienced domestic violence and also a violent incident in college. Are you
Mhm.
willing to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So that was actually my college incident was the driving force. So I originally started going to college to be a teacher, and I
Mhm.
love working with kids and wanted to be in the teaching field. Thought that was going to be great. And it would have been. But that incident in college where I ended up in that, um as far as getting um sexually assaulted at that point, shifted everything. And so that was a big piece of, okay, I can't even function right now. I need to come home and
Mm,
reevaluate things and see where I'm at. So dropped out of college for all of that. Really had no idea what I was going to be doing at that point. Did some mental health therapy at that point, to talk to some friends, went back to waiting tables, just some basic stuff just to, try and function.
yeah.
And and within that, I ended up finding, and got introduced to the massage therapy school here in town.
Hmm.
because I grew up here in Colorado Springs. And
Yeah.
so when I went up there and did an interview with them, I kind of explained my situation with everything. They said this would actually probably be perfect for you because going through school, you'll get to reassess that appropriate touch side of things in a way. And we can work with you and help you kind of through all of those things. As well as it was still along the same lines that I had of being able to help and make a difference and be in some sort of capacity to serve
Yeah.
in a way. By the time that I got through like the first month of that school, I was in love with it. And
Nice.
and now I am 20 years later and have never looked back. So
Super.
I kind of add that one into, when you're asking for help in a lot of ways, God speaks in interesting ways. And so that was a big side of what am I going to do with the rest of my life? And well, here you go. Here's an option.
Nice. Well, you turned out to love massage. You did not go back to college, right?
No, I did not. So
You have been doing massage for 20 years. At what point in that journey did you decide to start your own practice?
when was that? Probably about 5 years in.
Okay.
I really branched out and did my own. I was working for a couple of salons and some chiropractors before that. Everything was still as an independent contractor then. So technically I was running my own business. I just didn't know it at the time because of the way that everything was structured.
Yeah.
And felt like I was, and it was working and gaining that knowledge. So it was about 5 years in, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna get my own space and do my own thing. I did a lot of mobile massage because that was easier for friends and family, and
Hmm.
then other
We love
clients
it.
I picked up. Yeah, right. Some of the best thing, you don't have to leave, and you get off the table and go cook
Right
dinner,
into the
watch
bathtub.
TV.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, whichever one that is. So did that for a lot of years. Finally, in about 2014 or so, I actually took the plunge and rented a space up in Denver where I was living up there at the time
Okay.
and went went full time with it. Everything else was still part time. I still had other jobs, mostly admin work and
Hmm.
office jobs.
Tell me about the monkeys of starting your own business. It's a huge thing to take on, but you have this great work ethic.
Yeah, well, having a family background of everybody owning their own business, when I said that I was going to go ahead and open it up and do that, luckily I didn't have too many monkeys just opening that business because I had a lot of family support. Oh yeah, you can go ahead and do that. Here's what you need. Here's, my mom was an accountant. She's like, yeah, we'll go ahead and file all your stuff and get it set up with the state. And here's all your stuff
Uh-huh.
kind of thing. So that wasn't so much in my head as far as starting the paperwork side of it. It was more of, can I do this? Can I make enough to support myself? Can I bring in enough clientele? And how do I even go about getting in front of people and talking? So back then, one of the biggest monkeys that I had was a fear of public speaking
Oh yeah.
and couldn't, it's just like the judgment side of things that had come out
Wow.
of how do I tell them what I do and are they going to like me enough to come in and pay me money for this?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Do you think that's just a matter of practice? How did you overcome that fear?
It's a matter of practice. I was forced into it. I had joined a BNI group up in Denver, and being kind of that structure of those networking groups, making you stand up and give a 10-minute talk and having to say your pitch, over and over and over again every week, really started to make a difference.
Oh yeah. Good point. Yeah, the more we have to stand up and talk in front of a crowd, that's just really good practice.
Hmm.
It just occurred to me, you grew up in Colorado Springs, but you ended up in Denver. What was the transition that took you to Denver?
So that was a long roundabout kind of route. So I went from Colorado Springs out to Salt Lake City.
Mhm.
Ended up doing my aesthetics degree out in Salt Lake City. That
Mhm.
was one of my domestic violence relationships that I had had. I'd moved out there for a guy.
A guy. Mhm.
Yeah, for a guy. And it didn't work out. And it ended up being a situation I had to get myself out of, and finished
Wow.
school there. Got an apartment and finished school there. And then my aunt lived up in Brighton, north end of Denver, and had a
Mhm.
salon spa that she had opened up.
Yeah,
And I said, well, I don't have really anywhere else to go other than back home. So if you need a massage therapist and an esthetician, how
let's
about if I
talk.
come here?
Nice.
So so that's how I ended up in Denver. Later on, she ended up closing that business. It wasn't working out for her, the way that it was structured. And so she ended up closing it within a year of me getting out there. But that left me a really good opportunity to um, open up my own space and figure out what I wanted to do with some experience and some support there.
Nice. So is that when you came back to the Springs?
No, I had met my ex-husband up there in that point in time and got married in 2012. And I uh in the process of getting married with and living with him for roughly about 10 years, that was the second domestic violence situation that I had ended up in. Um but I got my son out of it, so that was great. And
Super.
yeah, so it led me to moving back here to the Springs in the fall of 2019.
After you escaped that situation.
Hmm.
And so you've talked about two domestic violence situations, and I'm wondering if looking back on your life, if you saw any patterns between the two relationships
Oh,
that,
completely. Yeah, they were, yeah, almost. They played it out differently, obviously, but very much so things were the same. And uh, same types of triggers that they had for things that I was doing. Some of it, because of the field that I'm in, being a massage therapist, was one of the biggest things that they had issues with too. Of, you can't work on men, and how do I know
wow,
that you're doing the stuff that you say that you're doing, and you're doing the stuff that you're supposed to be
not one
doing.
of those other massage parlors, huh?
Right, right, right.
Wow,
It's like
wow.
we have ethics, we have things that we have to follow, and I want to keep my career, and I love what I do, and I'm in this to help people feel better, and
Wow.
this is your issue, not mine.
Absolutely. So you've learned that now, and now you're not gonna get into another one of those because you know what to look for.
Oh
Right?
yeah, yeah,
Would you say they were narcissist tendencies, some of those guys?
yeah, very much so. Now that we know a lot of what narcissism is,
Hmm.
in the last several years that's come out, uh, I can pinpoint exactly those pieces to them and what they.
Yeah. How would you advise someone who might be involved with a narcissist to escape that situation?
Dig deep, because you get caught up so much in thinking that you're the problem, and that you're not worthy of certain normal things in a relationship, and that somehow you failed, because that's this message that they like to give you all the time, is that, well, if you hadn't have done this, then I wouldn't have reacted this way. But they never go back to saying, well, where you have it on your own personal side to say, well, if you hadn't done that, then I wouldn't have done this either. But you don't get that chance to say that. And so recognizing just that difference can make um, give you some of the strength just to say enough is enough. I don't
Yeah,
deserve that, and I'm capable of taking care of myself.
I love that you said I don't deserve that because you do deserve a healthy relationship
Hmm.
where someone loves you and sees you and recognizes their own fault in disagreements and doesn't blame you. It's brilliant. So now you're a single mom raising your son.
Yep, I
How
am.
old is he?
Hmm?
How old is he?
He is turning 6 the first part of March here, so in a couple
Ah,
weeks. So,
neat.
and that's a really beautiful story. That was another one of those that I had to dig deep for too, that came out of that cancer diagnosis that you mentioned earlier,
Yeah.
that I had. So between 33 and 35, I had a nice, lovely battle with uterine cancer and
Ah,
really had to, the medical community's answer to that one, it was just to have a hysterectomy. And
mhm.
at that point, I didn't recognize all the signs of everything I was going through in my relationship. At that point, I was very focused on, well, kids are going to fix it, right? I'm at this age now and my clock is ticking, and kids are going to fix all of these problems are because I don't have kids right now. And
Oh, yeah.
that's not the truth, but not, talk about monkeys. That's a whole nother,
Another area.
monkey I think we
Yeah.
get into. Um, but, uh, um, but I had to dig deep on that one too, because the answers with the medical community and this cancer diagnosis were very much well, we don't know why it's here. It doesn't make any sense. And the only answer that we've really got is because you're not responding to medication treatment, is to do a hysterectomy. And so I luckily was able to do some research because of this medical background that I've got,
Yeah.
and pulled up some reports and pulled up some really good studies out of Europe that weren't being used in our oncology departments at that time, and took them in to my oncologist and said, here's what I want to do. And basically what those were is, if I were to get pregnant, and pregnancy was the cure for this type of cancer in these cases in Europe. And I said, well,
Wow.
yeah,
Pregnancy was the cure because, well, no, that doesn't, no, my logic is not following this.
yeah. So it doesn't necessarily make sense completely. I understand that. But what they had done was gone in and did a DNC on the inside, cleared everything out. And if pregnancy occurred within a month or two, or within a relatively quick time frame, then, and that pregnancy held term, then that would cure and reset basically the entire lining
Yeah.
and those cancer
Kind of re
cells.
Wow. Is that what you did?
And that's what I did. So, so my son is my miracle cure child here. um,
Wow.
for all of that, because because it did. I don't have any reoccurrences. We've done some testing since then, and nothing's come back.
That's amazing. I love to hear stories of people who challenge their medical diagnosis and and just have the courage to come up with an alternative solution. It's so easy just to say, well, the doctor says I gotta. I think um it's so encouraging to know that there are alternatives, and you made it happen. He's your miracle baby.
He
Love
is.
that.
Yeah. So
Oh, sweet. Sweet. All the more fun in parenthood to have a story like that. And as he gets older, it'll be neat once he understands that.
yeah, that whole story with it. So yeah, but
Wow.
you talk about all the monkeys, and you talk about these things, and when I put all these puzzle pieces together that we just talked about, I mean, there was a lot going on for the last 20 years of everything that I did.
Right.
And a lot of big events and life-changing events that had come up. And so, to address the side of, how did I keep handling all of this side of things, it was very much that hard work ethic that we talked about in the beginning. And just,
Yeah.
I showed up for my clients day in and day out, because that's the whole thing, is as I was going through all of this, I still was maintaining clients. I was still running a full load and a full business,
Wow.
with Watch Therapy. And so every time that I showed up for them and listened to their stories and things that they were going through, and relationship issues and other domestic violence types of things, and just maybe parents that were going through cancer and chronic illnesses and different things that everybody goes through in the course of life. It helped me understand that I wasn't alone in anything that I was going through.
Yeah. And it also just screams to one of the number one approaches to feeling depressed or anxious is to help somebody else. You've
Mhm.
made a living you doing that.
Yeah.
And so in a way, your daily life is providing therapy for you.
Hmm.
You get to heal other people. Wow. That's amazing. I have so much respect for single moms. I don't think I could have done it without my husband. And I think we all need to pay more attention to the struggles that single moms are going through.
Yeah, it's a lot. And too, and sometimes in some cases like mine, it's easier because I can make the decisions. I'm the end all for the decisions in my house, and I don't have to have those conversations or arguments
Exactly. There
anymore.
no negotiations. I love
Right.
that. That's pretty funny. I don't want to say that I'd train my husband to say I'm the boss, but yeah, I totally get that. That's great. So, what are you hoping for the future? What are you hoping for your business? What impact do you want to make on the world going forward?
The biggest part with the business that I want to impart to people is that we don't heal in a vacuum. And one of the biggest things that I recognized going through cancer treatment and different various things is I reached out to all of these healing modalities to figure out and see what complementary could work with the medical system and what could happen.
Yeah.
Um, and the more that I did together, the more my mind cleared and the more I was able to think about things, and led me down paths and listening to people and saying, "Oh, well, this may work. This may be an option for you. Let's try this." Um, kind of stuff, which gave me more internal courage. It gave me more uh, clarity around a lot of the things that were happening. And so I want to utilize that for people and really put that out there to say these modalities work together. It's not
Hmm.
just the Western medicine side of things, while that's very important. It's not just mental health and doing therapy, while that's important. It's also taking care of yourself and doing self-care and reducing the stress in your life, and whatever makes that work, whether it's a better eating plan or if it's getting physical therapy and helping your knee feel better. It all of it goes in together.
Yeah. Have you read my book? I know you ordered a bunch of them to sell in your store.
I did, yeah. So I'll be completely honest. I've gotten about halfway through it, and
Okay.
yeah, I'm loving
Trying
it.
to remember if you've been through the Neuro RX yet, the five things. You just hit on them. The five things that we can do to try to keep things clear between our ears and keep that mental clarity and strength. Sleep, eating real food, getting some exercise, just getting that heart rate up, practicing gratitude, and spending time in play, which could be a hike. It could be spending time with the girlfriends. It could be hiking with girlfriends.
Right?
So you've really hit on those, and it's fun for me to hear that people come at that from different perspectives.
Mhm.
When you encounter the monkeys as a single mom and a business owner now, what is your monkey management strategy?
Honestly, my strategy now is it's been worse in the past than it is right now. We'll be okay.
We're gonna be fine.
And I reach out. So the other thing too is I reach out. So if it's something that I have a question on that is just rolling around in my head, it's kept me up 3 or 4 nights in a row thinking about, I call a friend or you know, reach out to a therapist that, my referral partners now and say, okay, this is what I've got going on. Give me some feedback on this. Am I thinking about this right? Do I actually need to do anything or do I need to let it go? So if it doesn't fit into one of those two boxes, I will figure something out. Usually that's going to come back to self-care and trying to
Yeah.
gain some of that clarity and clear that. But yeah.
Well, that's good. It's good to just know what to do next. Sometimes the best next thing is the best thing we can do. And just to realize that we don't have to have all the answers. We just need to know that whatever happens in this knowing area of our heart and soul is there for a reason because it's the guidance that keeps us on track, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And a good pause sometimes is the most important thing you can do for yourself.
Going for a walk, going to hit the yoga mat, I'm going to take a nap. That's one of my favorite ones.
I
Just
can
really
agree.
helps to clear the decks, just to close my eyes for a little bit.
Mhm.
That's great. I'm so glad. You're just 2 minutes from my house. I really need to come by more often. I need to come by because I haven't come by yet. And
You're welcome anytime.
well, and knowing that you do massage, I can't believe, uh, yeah, I love to bring massage therapy into my house because I want to roll right into the hot bath. But you're just down the street. So I will share all the information on how to find you so that people know. Any last things to share?
Um, I think the only other piece that I've got, I mean, as far as to impart to people is that we don't really reiterate that we don't heal in a vacuum. And I know it's really, really easy when like the big situations that I have and the life-changing events that you look at. I pulled some statistics out that 1 in 5 women are raped in their lifetime. One
Yeah.
in nine experience some sort of uterine cancer. 1 in 4 are breast cancer. And 1 in 4 women experience domestic violence. So when you really look at that, even if you go to a restaurant and have lunch, there's going to be multiple people sitting in that restaurant, multiple women sitting in that
Oh,
restaurant that have gone through
wow.
those situations. So, and I think we get so caught up in our own minds and our own heads of this is only my situation. Why me? I'm the only one going through all of this when we're
Hmm.
really not. And if the more community, the more we can talk about these things, the more we can bring them out and
Right.
help to see that while the situations are awful, they flat out suck. But, and it's so common, unfortunately, that we can really
Yeah,
start to help heal each other.
you're not alone.
No.
We can help each other heal. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. I'm sad that we're out of time, but I'm glad that we can push people your way. And thank you so much for spending time with me today, with all of us. And if you're just tuning in, you're listening to the Crazy as Usual with Donna podcast. Looked at the Crazy as Usual newsletter on LinkedIn for more information. And you can also check at Crazy as Usual with Donna on Instagram. So for the rest of the day, live yourself crazy, brilliant, and free.